got an asylum. It started as a simple dare. Jake, Emily, and Ryan had heard the urban legends about Blackwood Asylum, an abandoned psychiatric hospital on the outskirts of town. Stories spoke of eerie screams in the dead of night, shadowy figures lurking in the windows, and the occasional wanderer who never returned. It had been shut down in the late 60s after a gruesome scandal. Patients had gone missing, only for their bodies to be found mutilated within the walls of the asylum. The doctors, it was rumored, had engaged in grotesque experiments, but the truth was buried with the ruins of the building. Determined to prove their courage, the three friends set out with nothing but their phones and a flashlight. The asylum loomed before them, its facade cracked and crumbling. Ivy strangled the lifeless walls, and the main door, though rotting, stood ajar as if inviting them inside. "Last chance to back out," Emily whispered, her breath visible in the cold air. Jake scoffed. "Don't tell me you're scared." Ryan, the most skeptical of the group, chuckled. "It's just an old building. Let's get this over with." The moment they stepped inside, the air thickened with an oppressive silence. The light from their flashlights bounced off peeling wallpaper, revealing grotesque murals of faceless figures. The floor was littered with rusted wheelchairs, overturned gurneys, and faded patient files. The stench of mildew and decay invaded their senses. "This place is a nightmare," Emily murmured, gripping Jake's arm. "Let's check out the patient rooms," Jake suggested, leading the way. As they moved through the corridors, they found remnants of the past, discarded syringes, straitjackets, and restraints. Some of the rooms still had beds, their mattresses slashed open as though someone had torn through them in a frenzy. Then came the whispering, soft, indistinct. Just ahead, Ryan frowned. "Did you hear that?" They all stopped. The whispering ceased. "Hello?" Jake called out, his voice echoing. Silence, then a scraping sound, like nails against the walls. Their flashlights flickered, and in that moment a shadow moved at the end of the hallway. A tall, contorted figure stood there, its elongated limbs trembling unnaturally. Emily gasped, clutching Jake's hand. "What the hell is that?" The figure let out a guttural croak, then bolted toward them. Screaming, they turned and ran, their footsteps pounding against the floor. The asylum twisted around them, hallways shifting, doors slamming shut. They were trapped. "Where's the exit?" Ryan shouted, panting. "It was just here," Jake yelled, frantically searching. Then they heard it again, whispering, but this time it came from everywhere. "Join us. Stay with us. Forever," Emily sobbed, pressing herself against a wall. The air grew thick, suffocating. From the darkness, figures emerged, faceless, broken things, their hollow eyes dripping with black ichor. Ryan swung his flashlight wildly, but the beam only illuminated more horrors. The walls pulsated as if alive, veins of darkness stretching across them. The figures drew closer, their whispering turning into agonized wails. Jake grabbed Emily's wrist. "Run!" They bolted blindly, their breath ragged. The asylum groaned around them, the walls cracking, the ceiling buckling. And then, a door. Ryan lunged for it, throwing it open. They tumbled outside, gasping as the night air hit them. The asylum behind them stood silent once more, its horrors concealed within. They ran without looking back, not stopping until they reached Ryan's car. Hearts hammering, they jumped in, locking the doors. Jake fumbled with his phone. "Tell me you recorded that." Ryan checked his device, his face drained of color. I did." He turned the screen toward them. The video was distorted, static crackling over the footage. But then a shape emerged, standing just behind them as they ran, tall, contorted, watching. And as they sat in stunned silence, a whisper came from the back seat. "Join us. Stay forever." Jake's blood ran cold. Slowly he turned his head. The back seat was empty. Then Emily screamed. A pair of hands dripping with inky blackness reached around her shoulders from the shadows, pulling her backward. too late. She was yanked into the darkness of the car, vanishing before their eyes. The doors wouldn't open. The windows wouldn't break. The whispering grew louder, the air inside thick with an unnatural chill. Then the car engine roared to life, on its own. The headlights flickered, illuminating the asylum's rotting facade one last time. And there, in the broken window of the highest floor, they saw her, Emily. Her eyes were black voids, her mouth stretched into a grotesque smile. Stay. The car jerked forward, speeding down the road at an impossible velocity. Jake and Ryan screamed as the car swerved, twisting down roads that shouldn't exist. The city was gone. The world outside was gone. Only endless darkness remained. And then, nothing. The car was found days later, abandoned in front of the asylum's gates. The doors were open. The seats were covered in claw marks. But Jake, Ryan, and Emily were never seen again. Only the whispers remained, and they were getting louder.